All right, everyone. Juan Guaido, of course, in Venezuela, the opposition leader there against Maduro, is saying that if he comes to power, there'll be new elections. That is, don't worry, he's not going to become a dictator. He'll be elected to his position. See, the problem is Maduro was elected to his position too. It's fucking no different. The problem is that Guaido is a socialist just like Maduro is. The structure is the problem. The economic sort of situation in Venezuela is the result of a bad economic mindset, which is socialism. Centrality, redistributionism. It's the old way of doing things. It's the way that things were done for 1,000 years. Capitalism is the new kid on the block. And it actually works, which is why, tyrants don't like capitalism. Guaido is not offering anything that Maduro didn't promise people anyway. We're a democratically socialist nation. No, I'm not a dictator. People voted for me. Yeah, they did. Stupidly. See, the problem is that there was no alternative. There is no opposition in Venezuela. Guaido is no different than Maduro except for two things. He's willing to entertain Western investment instead of just Russian investment and Chinese investment. That helps for us economically maybe, but it doesn't really help Venezuela. And he doesn't want to shoot people as much as Maduro does. Mainly because he's not in power, he doesn't have the capability to have people shot. I've gotten to the point where I don't really bother caring whether Guaido ends up replacing Maduro. If he does, it's going to be a freak show for a while. The economy will still be in the shitter, and eventually he'll get removed too. So it's completely pointless. You don't have a capitalistic movement to replace Maduro, which is what you need. What you need is this. You need a situation in which Venezuela falls under the rule of one or more persons who don't just want Western investment, but who want to get rid of socialism entirely and say, look, we're going to reform this nation's economy completely. We're going to overhaul the Constitution completely. We're going to allow foreign groups in, local competition and stuff. They can come in, develop things, solve our problem. The debt gets written off in exchange for, yes, we will be able to pay back something. We'll be able to pay you in oil or whatever once it starts coming back out of the ground. It'll be painful for a number of years. The problem is there's no alternative. Socialism has rammed the country into the ground face first and ass up for so long that it becomes impossible for them to escape from that without more pain. And that's why I'm a little bit downhearted and a little bit demoralized when it comes to Venezuela's short to intermediate term success. They got everything in the world. You've got the oil. You've got a decently literate population. The infant mortality was low. Educational attainment was high. Your medical capabilities were good, back 5 or 6 years ago before the oil prices and debt came calling. The problem is this. The problem is that I don't know whether the people of Venezuela have the wherewithal to actually go through the painful motions of getting rid of both the Maduros and the Guaidos of their country to install a government that's actually capable of representing their true economic interests. The thing is, people there, and this has been mentioned to me even in comment sections, that people that are like, well, fuck Maduro and they're trying to flee, they're still ultimately socialistic. They still believe in the same model. They even have nostalgia for it. They just have nostalgia for Chavez. And that's a real big problem because Chavez only achieved his economic miracle by debt spending. That is why you're suffering. Chavez, not Maduro, is primarily to blame for all of the problems in Venezuela. It's not Maduro's fault. Maduro didn't structure the economy the way that it was structured. Chavez did that. It was his fault. He's the one that centralized everything and said, look, the oil's coming out of the ground. It's worth, what was it at the time, 160, 170 a barrel. It's valuable, and we're getting more and more of it, and the cost probably will keep rising. Let's borrow a bunch of money and inject that into the economy, quickly increase our infrastructure. We'll build roads. We'll give people bicycles and radios and stuff. Whoops. Oh, the oil prices are now a third of what they were, and the debt's still there. How are we going to pay it off? Well, we've got to pay off the debt, so we're going to have to cut all of this other spending. And so things slowly fell apart over a number of years under Maduro, but it wasn't his fault. He was handed a shitty situation by Chavez that briefly looked okay because the oil prices were still high, and that's the fundamental truth of socialism. One person or one group of people make shitty decisions, everyone suffers. It's not like a free market where if one or a small group of people make shitty decisions in a non-monopolized free market situation, who suffers? It's them. Nobody else suffers. The community takes a hit. They've got a little more unemployment or something. Something will come along and plug the gap. That's the economic reality. The highs aren't as high, the lows aren't as low. The boom and bust cycle is the result of socialism. It's not the result of free markets. I wish that we were so free market and capitalistic. I wish we were like the Wild West. Things were, honestly, in some economic ways, better back then. Yeah, your overall tax burden this year is 5% no matter how much you make. Yeah, sounds pretty good. Yeah, we could do that. Just give everyone a lot of guns. Nobody will invade us and no more problems. Let people have like laser weapons and stuff. There are some Russians that built an EMP gun that can stop a car that's speeding down the road. You're telling me that we have a problem with defending ourselves? Don't worry about it too much. That's about all. Peace out.